Namaste. Another Sunday, 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time, and we are back on Gyan Ganga Words of Wisdom on your Virat Hindustan Sangam social media channels. Today is episode 160, and we are going to discuss a very interesting topic, which is very topical here in India and all around the world as far as Indians are concerned. The topic is India's foreign policy, national interest or appeasement in the present context. We'll be especially discussing in the context of Nupur Gate and also China. And the next 45 to 50 minutes, Dr. Subramanian Swamy and our guest today, Sree Iyer, will be discussing this topic. We will, as you all know, Sree Iyer has been on our show earlier. He is the man behind P Gurus, the famous website which every Indian every day wants to watch and find out what's new scam. Sree Iyer is of numerous books, including the famous one on National Herald, black money, and all red money, white money, and all sort of monies. He's a famous painter which paints every different issues in a different color as you want to have it known. So we have Sree Iyer here. He has 38 patents to his credit, and he is here with us to discuss this topic. I must thank my co-host, Professor Arvind Chaturvedi from Delhi, and Sri Ramesh Swamy for their weekly support and hosting this program. We also have to thank our social media team led by Ashish Shetty, Tejas Navalgul, Ishwar Iyer, Swaminathan, Rakesh Gadgi, Vishal Mehta, and Ajesh Nair for their background support every week after week to see that this program reaches across the globe to more than 120 countries who we get a feedback are watching this program live, or you can watch it always on YouTube and other channels which is available. You can go back to our Virat Hindustan Sangam YouTube channel and you can watch it at your leisure. So with these words, it is over to Dr. Swamy to start this discussion in this sense, a very burning topic which is happening in India. Over to Dr. Swamy.
Thank you, Jagdish. Today we are discussing the issue in a limited scope because we already had one discussion on foreign policy in general. But today we will devote our attention to the recent events that has arisen from the widespread condemnation from almost all the Islamic nations of India for what the party spokesman while participating in some seminar had said. That means that basically the Gulf issue, the Gulf nations' reactions and the Islamic nations' reactions, and we will also deal with the issues that have arisen because of our refusal to accept or at least own up that the Chinese have grabbed a lot of our territory and we have been impotently looking on. Now, in general, let us remember that foreign policy means four things, which any policy means. One is the statement of the objectives. Two is of these objectives, which are your priorities. Then the third is the strategy to achieve those objectives. And finally, the financing of the requirement of your strategy. That these are the four pillars of any policy, and it will apply to any policy, and in this particular case, as far as foreign policy is concerned. Now, taking Gulf first, the official party spokesman Nupur Sharma, whom has now a gate attached to her name. So this whole scandal is called Nupur Gate. because this word gate comes because original Watergate is a building, a apartment building, huge apartment building in Washington DC, and the Democratic Party had its headquarters there, and Nixon, as a Republican president of the United States, authorized breaking into that party office and stealing some documents. And then it slowly led to one thing, led to another, and the whole thing brought Nixon down. So the word gate comes from Watergate. So from Watergate, there will be other gates also. And now we have Jagdish has given a new name, Nupur Gate. So Nupur Gate is what? That an official spokesman has been declared to appease the hurt Islamic nations, to be declared as what they call as a fringe element. Now, how can an official spokesman be called a fringe element? Because an official spokesman gets a briefing from the government and the party office bearers before he or she goes before the microphone to say anything at any place. They don't have an independent opinion, a personal opinion. That's the understanding. So to dump her, we have no objection to her being dumped. That's the party's. If the party doesn't like her or thinks that she's got them into trouble, you can go ahead, dump her. But what we are seeing today is that the Islamic nations, the Islamic forces, the Islamic parties, the Islamic groups, all are baying for her blood. Now, I'm sure that the government will give her adequate security and look after her and all that. So I'm not coming to her defense on that either. But to say that she had quoted a passage, perhaps in a tone which was not pleasing, which was there in the Hadith and in Quran. So I won't go into that. But prior to that, one of the people who had appeared with her in some seminar or some or TV broadcast, he made some horrible statements about Shiva, and everybody's forgotten that. And we Hindus, we are not fanatics about these things. You can go, but it was vulgar, and I'm sure that in some time in the future we should get him to apologize for having debased, vulgarized Lord Shiva. But that's a separate issue. But country after country, the government of India went and prostrated. And that is the one thing that we are not here condoning, supporting Nupur Sharma or Nupur Gate. We think that when you are a party spokesman, you should be sure that what you are going to say is not going to bring a reaction. If you're not a party spokesman, you've got much more freedom. But actually, when you are a party spokesman, you have to be extremely careful choice of that. And she certainly went out of that and doesn't deserve to be party spokesman. But I think what I am shocked to see is that an official spokesman has been declared by an ambassador of India, not by the party president, but by the ambassador of India to a foreign country, that her opinion she expressed is valueless because she belongs to the fringe. How can she belong to the fringe if she's the official spokesman? So this, the government of India owes an explanation. The second thing which I would like to tell today in this forum is that, according to my information, this reaction from so many countries, including Maldives, Indonesia, these are countries which, they're not that kind of fanatics, you see. And there are many others. Country after country has condemned India and said awful things. You have had the image or a made up statue of Nupur and then put her on a noose and strung her from the electric wires at a great height. I mean, what is this going on? This sounds. What is it? Ultimately, she said something which she should not have said. And she has also said, I am sorry, I'm withdrawing it. Still, we are discussing what she's saying. So it appears to me that these nations which have come together, when I see which have not come together, I don't think Kazakhstan has got into this at all. And the question is why. But the nations which have gotten, there appear to be more a part of the United States setup. Certainly, Qatar is, Saudi Arabia is, all said and done, Turkey is today still a part of NATO, and so on. I would say that the liberals in the United States have been speaking regularly about the Hindutva as a danger to India. Now, they don't know what Hindutva is. I don't know which. If you go by crackpots, I got lots. I am sure Sree Iyer can also give a list. All kinds of crazy people in the United States. Indians get beaten up when they go to shops. Indian pharmacies, pharmaceutical companies, or chemist shops there are constantly telling me how frightened they are about being beaten up. We don't talk about what is happening to their schools and children's being shot by madcaps coming there. So I think there is a issue which we will have to take up at some stage as part of our foreign policy, especially since we are part of Quad, to tell the American establishment, put some curbs on your liberals interfering in our internal interests, in our internal affairs. Even the External Affairs Minister, which is called the Secretary of State, he has said something about human rights and so on and so forth. These are, if you are part of Quad, they can tell us privately that, better correct this because otherwise some senator is going to raise it. But if the foreign minister equivalent, the Secretary of State, says the same thing, this is something that is. So this is my first view. This appeasement by the government of India, crawling all over the place, saying sorry, disowning their own. This is some spectacle which is unbearable for a country with self-respect. And I think our foreign policy is in tatters today. I'm sure that the Chinese are giggling away at this, justifiably. So are the Pakistanis. And I think this is something that we must now have a review, very serious review amongst all the pro-BJP, pro-Hindutva people and so on, that we can't allow this kind of degradation to happen in the future. As far as the China is concerned, I was right from day one. Today, the US commander, now the defense minister, are saying that Chinese have made a major intervention in India, in Ladakh, and it looks dangerous. I won't be surprised after all this debilitation that takes place because of what Nupur Gate is all about. The Chinese could attack us. Who can say no? We seem to be people who have put our faith in the Russians coming, but Russians are junior partners of China. They'll never stand up against China. Did they not mislead us when the Chinese first came into Depsang, saying, no, this is only for drills. They are doing a drill. Don't worry, they'll go away. And I think, if I'm not wrong, the Prime Minister was fooled by that and said, koi aaya nahi, koi gaya nahi. banking on the Russians. But that doesn't excuse our Prime Minister either. So we have to understand that we have an opportunity in Quad because the Americans are essentially looking for curbing the ambitions of China. They naturally want to protect Taiwan. We have protecting Taiwan is none of our business because this the Americans' business. And we have from day one said Taiwan is part of China, and both Chinas agree on one thing, that there is only one China. The Taiwan people say it's going down in China, and the others say this communist China. That's the only difference. So for us, but we are allies. So if the Americans get into something, we have to support them. Otherwise, don't be part of Quad. And I would say that with the help of the United States and keeping also thereby the liberals in the United States in check, we should devise a strategy by which we uproot the Chinese from Ladakh, which is possible for us to do it even without the Americans, provided the Americans give us the weapons we want, which they are obliged now in a sense. So I think we are now in a situation where we can redeem ourselves, come out of this disgraceful pleading for understanding of this thing. They should have said, should have said, yes, we just made one remark, we are removing her, and she is anyway, Nupur has anyway said that I have nothing to do with it. I mean, I'm giving it all up. I apologize for it, all that. And then tell them that's all we can do. I mean, do you think that the Qatar, newspapers in Qatar are not attacking us Hindus all the time? Do you not know that if somebody comes with Ramchandra Ji's picture in Qatar and lands there, in the customs, they will open your trunk and then smash it to pieces in front of you? All these things, we are not complaining. It's your country, you do what you like. But for us, this has happened. We have Muslims too, and therefore we don't want to hurt their sentiments. We are, as Hindus, believers in all religions lead to God. Certainly Islam doesn't believe that, and certainly Christianity doesn't believe that. So ours is a very superior philosophy in the sense we said all religions lead to God. But we have to recover our national prestige, which has been badly damaged by the prostration, this Shashtangam Dandavat before the Arab countries of the world. So over to you, Sree Iyer. Let's have your wisdom on this subject.
You are muted.
One second.
Yeah, now you're okay.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. It's always a pleasure to be on VHS channel. Thank you, Dr. Swamy and team VHS for giving me this opportunity. Dr. Swamy, I'm standing 20,000 feet away and I am completely confused, sir. One day, the Minister of External Affairs seems to roar like a lion, and the next day, there seems to be a cat's meow. And and what was the rationale for this complete surrender in front of, I think Qatar started it all and then everybody else jumped on the bandwagon. There's always a toolkit that Pakistan is ready with, which will just gladly, spread it out to many people. This is something that they are very good at, let's admit that. And what I also found out was that Qatar is having a very serious investigation in the United States about its role, where it has tried to get access. And sir, one former ambassador to UAE and Pakistan has admitted that he did something wrong. Basically, what he was doing was, before his term as ambassador ran out, he was doing enabling and getting paid for consulting. And there is also a general, a Marine general, who was the head of US and NATO operations until 2017 in Afghanistan, he's also under the scanner. Everything points back to Qatar. A Pakistani American venture capitalist has been convicted, and he's spending 12 years in prison for corruption. That's where this thing started. So Qatar has a huge problem now, where, you remember that when KSA, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and UAE, ganged up together and said we need to get Qatar out, Donald Trump quickly moved in and endorsed all that, and then US after 3 months sold billions of worth of ammunition to Qatar. So US is it's an enigma, and I have been countering what you said, sir, about Blinken. What Blinken did was he read verbatim from a USC IRF report. And yesterday, about 12 hours ago, I released a point-by-point dissection of how these reports are being compiled. The report on India had 58 links, and every one of them is from the left, the far left, and the far left. They're so far left that they'll fall off the chair. That is what they have used. No mention of Delhi, right?
Lunatic left, you mean?
Yes, loony left. Yes, sir.
Lunatic, yeah.
and that is what it is. And the person who did the report, her name is Niala Muhammad, and she is she hates India. This is expected. They are grown from the childhood to do this. She used to be at Voice of America, and that's probably where she got it. But more importantly, the USC IRF, I've raised some very serious questions. I'm just going to come back to this point, sir. Why I'm saying all this is that there is a nexus working in India. All those things, somewhere the link goes back to elements that are funded from Qatar or around Qatar, or individuals who have been part of this thing. So now where do we stand? I don't know if US is behind this, Dr. Swamy, because the problem, in my opinion, sir, let us say, why did India say Sashtang Namaskar? India has very heavy natural gas needs. Who knows what kind of a whip Qatar cracked, and they might have said, we won't give you any more natural gas. And it's possible. I'm not saying it is not possible. But communication, or the lack of it, has been a problem with this government. They never say anything out. And it's always a one-way street, or man ki baat. Nobody even takes it seriously anymore. So when you don't want to communicate, when you can't communicate, and when you miscommunicate, you are having all the you have all the ingredients for a major disaster, and that's what has happened now. Today, sir, in Kuwait, there were some protests, and these protests were for Prophet Muhammad and Islam. And you know what Kuwaitis did? They rounded them all up, and they are deporting all of them. Doesn't matter which country, because according to their country law, this is how I read that, foreigners can't protest. So no matter what happens, this is just a continuum of mistakes after mistake. Even if India does what it did, like complete capitulation, the problem is not gone away, hasn't gone away. Friday prayers, after the Friday prayers, they are going out, start throwing stones. What was the intelligence doing, Dr. Swamy? I would like to know. I would like to ask Mr. Amit Shah. This event was telegraphed so well that anytime you have a problem like this, the following Friday, there is trouble right outside after they come out of the namaz. So this mullahs, what they say, the government needs to have a way to know what they're going to say. I'm not saying you have to prepare the script and we will approve it. I'm saying have some circuit CCTV cameras, and if they destroy the CCTV cameras, shut down the mosque. You can put at least that much. This is a national security element here. How hard would that be? Dr. Swamy, I have talked to a retired Director General of Police who said that whenever there were, these Friday namaz sessions, in many mosques, even Muslim policemen in Mufti were not allowed. They knew that this guy is a policeman, and they would say, why are you coming? What is this? Last I checked, all mosques are still part of India. You see, what I'm trying to say is law and order, and this has to be applied uniformly to everybody. Uniform civil code is only for civil. The criminal code is uniform. Uniform criminal code. In my book, throwing a stone at a policeman or at a shopkeeper or at a vehicle or at anything that can cause grievous injury is a criminal offense. And on that, everybody is the same. It doesn't matter. So these kinds of things that I don't know how many of the lawmakers know, I don't know how many MPs of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha know that India has a uniform criminal code.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say, sir, is you are going to put garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. I hold the Prime Minister's office completely responsible, because what has happened is the decision making is so concentrated in one place that it possibly can't look at everything. And therefore, even the ambassadors who are being called, they are being called at a short notice. They may not be able to get a briefing from the headquarters. What do? They just say yes. They just act meek, in my opinion, sir. Although I must say the Ministry of External Affairs, the embassies in the United States are far more proactive now in the Modi administration than they were before. Before that, Indians, NRA were not required Indians. We were a nuisance. That's how they used to treat. Not now. They are much more proactive. They are also encouraging people, saying that, look, these are all sectors. For example, India is pushing food products a lot more. And I'll tell you a simple reason why India is pushing the food products, sir. Some very famous nutrition labs have come out and said that breakfast should be 75% carbohydrates, 25% protein. You know what dish has that, sir? Idli. In that exact proportion. We have been eating that for thousands of years. In a post-COVID world where the whole world is turning vegetarian, there is a big opportunity for India, and India is working towards that. They are encouraging a lot of people to come out and say, popularize Indian products, educate people, and so on and so forth. That is the good side of what the foreign ministry is doing. But in this particular case, I really don't know what was the reason for this capitulation, except that perhaps there is a incoming or just about a looming oil crisis or a natural gas crisis. I don't know. Again, they could have communicated this, sir. The number one supplier of natural gas is Australia, part of Quad. The number two is Qatar. Did India try and talk to Australia and say, listen, if there's a problem here, can at least we do 50%? So there are many ways possible. And you don't have to completely, hold all your cards out and say, but communicating, this is something that India needs to. If you want to say we are going to be Vishwaguru, we are going to be a $5 trillion economy, show it, walk it. I want to listen to what the government has accomplished every day. You should have press conferences. It doesn't have to be Mr. Modi. It doesn't have to be anyone from PMO's office. In fact, they had an excellent spokesperson in MEA called Syed Akbaruddin, who then got promoted to UN as India's representative. He's back home. He's retired. He's an excellent articulator. And the way he used to handle, sir, was awesome, very professional. You have people. These are all people who will jump at the opportunity to do what India wants them to do. Why is India not doing this? And I'm hearing some stories, sir. It shocks me as to how the cabinet is run and how the decisions are being made from the PMO office. India is too big a country to be managed by a group of 40 babus, half of whom are in your list of 27. And I'm putting it all out, sir. This is the truth. I mean, if somebody had half a sense of mind and said, okay, this man must be saying something right, let me at least look at the list. Let me at least try and see why this is being done. Look at the proof. And the point here I'm trying to make, again, viewers, is stop. Ramayana tells you a lot of things, but don't think that you need only one Rama to solve your problems. It is never that. This single person worship does not work, especially in a complex world that we live in today. And I'm sorry to going all over the place, but this Nupur Sharma gate could have been easily handled, in my opinion, Dr. Swamy, that this was a private TV channel. This was a discussion. The discussion got heated, and it was a response to something that was far more bad, far more caustic. And we are a free society. People are willing to, they express their views. Yeah, we will talk to our spokesperson. What we do with our spokesperson is our business. And leave it at that, sir. You don't need to say sorry. And then people say, I mean, this is the thing that I really find amusing. They say there are 73 lakh Indians working in those countries. What if they're all driven home? Listen, they didn't go there asking the Indian government permission to go there. They just went there because it was a better opportunity. Let them all come back in. They'll have the life of a prince with the kind of money they would have made there. If they just bring it back in, you can live like a prince in India. There is no problem at all. See, this is just convenient thing to say, oh, okay, don't give any excuses for what you did. You screwed up. I would say we messed up, and we want to move forward. And I still don't know what is the goodness you are going to get from doing all this. And Dr. Swamy, as far as China is concerned, Dr. Swamy, I'm afraid that we are getting the same April 2020 moment again in 2022. It's the same thing that happened. At that time also, US warned China is poised to enter in, and there was a officer who tabled a report. And how did the Indian government reward this officer? By transferring that person.
That's
What
right.
a joke. I mean, somebody who's, first of all, according to my calculation, 90% of the bureaucracy is corrupt. The IAS is perhaps the most corrupt. They think they sit on the top of the mountain of bureaucrats. I'm not sparing my criticism of these people. Some of them think they are the emperors of universe. They've been watching Yes Minister, Yes Prime Minister too much. The call me God syndrome. And but the point here is, anybody who tries to speak the truth, tries to be honest, they get rewarded by either being sacked using 56J or being transferred, basically treated like a nuisance. How will anybody do any proper work, Dr. Swamy, if this is how we treat our honest, hardworking bureaucrats?
Yeah.
I mean, these are all things that the Modi government has to answer. This is how people, we are not dumbos, we are intellectuals. We can easily connect the dots. I have 38 patents. That ought to tell you that I have some intelligence that is perhaps not found in the average person. I'm saying all this because sometimes I get so much crap in my comment line from people. You have to have some awkaat to say something. If you want to differ with me, do it on an intellectual level, not by saying you are a paparanai or something like that. I will put you in your paste. That is coming. That is separate. But the point I'm trying to say, sir, is this is how India has become now.
Yeah. Before I request my other colleagues to give their opinion, and then, of course, from the audience also some questions have come. I'd like to say one thing clearly, that I did not say the United States government is behind this. But the United States has a liberal crowd, which is very active nowadays. And there are, of course, bureaucrats also in their individual capacity. And they have been trying to create an atmosphere ever since the BJP came to power that this is something that has to be uprooted. And I can name them. Some of them are even at Harvard University. I had problems with them, so I know what they are. So the United States government can only move in the matter if the Indian government shows some guts. What we have actually done is not only that the Indian government is looking small, but this whole Hindutva movement, where we talked about the greatness of India and the new macho image that was tried to be built on the basis of Hindutva, that's gone for a 6. Today, 25 Arab countries, Muslim countries have made you look small. And today to say Hindutva is in fact become a big minus. They'll say when you had to stand up, you didn't stand up. It's no use being violent and give abuse to Americans and abuse to the Arabs and so on. That's not it. Here is a time when you should have stood up. Instead of that, you debased yourself by saying that these all fringe groups and so on. The Hindutva is not a fringe operation. And yes, I think we must learn, our people who are become spokesmen, they should be taught some diplomacy and the concept of diplomacy. But I think we have to understand very clearly that we have the biggest hurt has come to Hindutva by this surrender that we saw today. Yeah, I mean the last few days. Yes, Ramesh, and is Arvind still around?
Yeah, he's there. He's muted, so he'll be back. He'll come on. Jagdish, you go ahead. You're muted, Jagdish. Can you unmute yourself? Yeah, go ahead.
Swamy, some questions are being raised whether these Islamic countries would have taken the steps on their own, or was some powers behind who may have been prodding these countries to take this stand against the Indian government.
The short answer is that there is something called a deep state in the world, and it's dominated by some very rich Americans, and they are certainly been working for a long time to discredit the BJP government, and they are behind it. And the BJP government, instead of standing up, actually became complicit in this attempt to make us look small.
Dr. Swamy, if you notice, the party president, Nadda, has not done even one tweet, has not made one statement on this entire fiasco. Nobody from the government has made, leave alone, as a party president, if you nominate the press people, can you not come out and say something for or against what happened? Like what you just said, what she said, whether it was in the right context, not context, tone, we have taken action and get it over with at that level. Why did they allow this to escalate? And I think, Sree, correct me if I'm wrong, all this protest nonsense started after she apologized and withdrew the statement, not before.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Sree.
Yes,
I mean, this is post facto.
Correct.
It is absolute, pathetic. They just mishandled, not even mishandled. They did not even handle it. Complete fiasco and debacle about be it the diplomacy. I think the diplomacy kind of got the preference over Sharanagati. They just said, you know what, we will fall down on your feet. Don't worry, we don't care. Small countries like Maldives that believe in our navy, trust our navy to protect them, they are protesting. I don't think there's not even one single Islamic nation that did not, maybe as you said, Kazakhstan or some. They're busy protecting their borders from Russia, but other than that,
no, yeah.
The question again, Dr. Swamy, is why is the Indian diplomacy so weak?
No, weakness is all around. Take this Nupur Sharma herself. Why did she have to apologize? She said, well, maybe I misquoted, and here I'm submitting my resignation, and got out of the whole thing. But she has profusely apologized, said, I'm very sorry, and so on. She was, in fact, her original point was that it's there in the Quran. I was just quoting the Quran or the Hadith or whatever. And she said, well, maybe the timing was wrong, and I did it provoked by the fact that horrible things were said about about Shiva. But I do admit that the party is in difficulty, so I'm offering my resignation and going off. But she apologizes, crawls before them, and then still they say, chop her head, chop her this, hang her from here. I mean...
and not one word, as you said, Dr. Swamy, not one word against that idiot who said anything about Lord Shiva, who heard abuses about Lord Shiva.
Yeah. Arvind,
go ahead, your question.
Yeah, when we are talking about the foreign policy, I think the first and major failure of the Indian government was that in response to the Arab countries or the Muslim countries, they did not stand up and they did not defend Nupur Sharma. So in one way, the failure of foreign policy, instead of saying that it is a failure of foreign policy, I'll say it is a failure of BJP's Hindu policy. BJP, which has been claiming to be the champion of Hindus' cause since 2014, and not one occasion in those years, whenever the issue came where Hindus were to be defended, BJP had taken 2 steps backward. And Nupur Sharma, they took 4 steps backward. So I would say it is not failure of foreign policy. Of course, it is. Jaishankar has been a failure right from the day he was appointed on every issue. Every issue. And the Nupur Sharma thing has added insult to the injury. The India, which was claiming by the so-called Bhakts of Modi's, that Modi has become Vishwaguru. In fact, this Vishwaguru, Nupur Sharma issue, they have failed miserably. And I would add that it is not a failure of foreign policy, it is a failure of Hindu policy. Time has come where BJP should correct itself if it has to live up to the expectation which they had created in 2014 and again in 2019 and again in 2022 when UP voted for Yogi. This is all on Hindus issue, and now they have failed miserably.
If I could add a couple of things.
Yeah, go ahead.
I forgot to add this thing about the influence of liberals. Dr. Swamy, there are 3 or 4 Hindu Americans who are in the political rainbow of United States. They may not be at Congress level or Senate level. We know the quality of those people. I've already said enough. I'm talking about those who are at least not afraid to show up in Hindu events. There is one congressman called Raja Krishnamurthy. There is a local state person called Padma Kuppa. There is another one called Sree Kulkarni. These are all people who are, you can find them in Deepavali festivals. You will see them taking pictures and at temples and so on and so forth. And the liberals are taking square aim at each and every one of them. They are not beyond constructing lies, outright lies, Dr. Swamy. And the people who are writing these lies have direct links to ISI. And I have been exposing all these things, whether you take the case of Equality Labs, and yesterday I put out one on USCIR of dubious links. See, this is in fact, they're not even hiding it, Dr. Swamy. This is black and white. I don't know what the Democrats are going to do. The point I'm trying to make is I am doing my part, being in the United States, to fight for Mr. Modi. But I feel extremely let down when you go and kowtow to something that you did not do. India is a democracy. There is freedom of speech. Prove it. Why should you have to go and pull back and say no, this is not right? Not only that, you insult that person by saying she's a spokesperson. You say she's a fringe element. So this is what really hurts, Dr. Swamy. I go the extra mile, stick my neck out, and stand up for Sanatanis. And this is how I see people, who I expect to protect my back behaving.
Sree, I just want to support you on one of those things. Dr. Swamy, India is a part of Quad, but there is a squad in America that Sree has already mentioned. They are against India, very clear. Their agenda is very clear. Ilhan Omar and the likes of the Jayapal.
Pramila Jayapal. She has existential angst. You look at her face, she's always angry. How can a congresswoman be always angry? You got to show some measure of composure. That's how I see it, sir. I don't know why Seattleites keep voting for her.
But Sree, why is that happening? Why are we blaming the squad and the likes of people who constantly bait India? What is wrong in India? You look at Pakistan, the pauper country. They have a better lobbying, facility infrastructure than India, which can do 10 times, 100 times better than them. India is pathetic when it comes to lobbying for its own causes, Dr. Swamy. And people like Sree or Rajiv Malhotra, who voice out every day, have zero support from the Indian government. They have zero support from the Indian government, who want to fight for the India's cause, be it Modi or BJP or whatnot. People like Sree and Rajiv are out there every day trying to scream on their head or stop off to bring the Hinduness in Hindutva, and every day they overcome by bigger voices saying Hindutva means terrorism or Hindutva means extremism. It is abject failure by the MEA. They have no a platform, or they've not built a platform all these years, even despite of the fact that India is a very strategic nation as far as US is concerned. This bridging is absolutely non-existent. Otherwise, we wouldn't be facing such a thing. A Qatar country that even maybe smaller than even Gujarat, who depend on 40% of their rice from India, they are commanding. And Dr. Swamy, they were docked by Saudi Arabia, US for the terrorist connections. What did India do that time? Zip tie. What are they doing now? Zip tie. Even if they're getting stomped on by a tiny Qatar, they're doing just zipping up their mouth and staying quiet. Why can't they just say, oh, is that the case? Okay, we're not going to do. We don't want your gas. The only thing they buy largest quantity from Qatar is natural gas. So what? You just say, okay, 6 months later, we're not going to buy from you. Qatar will immediately buckle. Where will they sell suddenly so much of 3 billion tons of gas? Where will they sell it to? It's absolute nonsense that they are listening to a country like Qatar, and there are ways and means to put pressure. India, everywhere they go and say we are a $5 trillion economy, we are the second largest GDP. What is that used for? Right? So why aren't they getting any guts to stand up and say things against such countries?
It's called playing safe, which has been a national Indian habit.
Or Nobel intentions, Dr. Swamy. That's all I can come back to.
Nobel intentions.
That's not coming anytime soon.
Yes, and I think we want to be friends with everybody and becoming friends of nobody.
Absolutely.
We are in BRICS and we are also in Quad. Now, how can you be in both? I mean, I'm not just able to comprehend. How can you be in both? Here, the Chinese are sitting on your territory, which is a mutually agreed Indian territory. The line of actual control, LAC as it's called, was drawn up during Narasimha Rao's time, that we said whatever you have of our territory, you keep for the moment. When we negotiate and finalize, we'll see. And whatever we have, we keep. In that, the whole of Aksai chain was given to China. And now they come down and you say nobody has come. Now the American general is coming and saying that the way that the Chinese have put themselves
the infrastructure,
in a very dangerous situation. What is your reply? First he said he's only a commander. Now the defense ministry, the defense department of the United States has said it.
The defense secretary has said it. Yeah.
Huh?
Defense secretary has said it. Yeah.
Secretary of the defense department has said it. You can't take a stand. I mean, what do you owe the Chinese? You owe them nothing. If they are not going to want to be friends, you don't have to be friends with them. I know them very well. I've been extremely good friends with them. But I made it clear the day I came to know that they have come into Indian territory, when the government was not agreeing that they had come into Indian territory. That time I told them, sorry, this is now it's become a national, our national interest question, our self-respect. We can't. We will fight you. We'll fight you alone if necessary, and if we get allies, we'll fight you. But Modi had 18 separate one-to-one meeting over 5 years, from 2014 to 2019, with Xi Jinping. Sometimes in India, sometimes
I think there has
and
become 19
not
now,
a
Dr.
scrap
Swamy.
of paper available what was discussed. Did you make it clear at that time that we will, this friendship will not last if you take any more of our territory beyond what was mutually agreed, beyond the line of control? So what I find is that when you start the psychophancy that was started after 2014, that you can't criticize Modi, you can't criticize the party, the chamchagiri that has gone on, the selection of people as ministers, as chamchas, who have been the best chamchas. You pick up bureaucrats who have no political experience and make them cabinet ministers. This is all part of the general disease where people go and crawl. The first thing we should do is tell the ambassador in Qatar, come back. Who asked you to go and say that this is a fringe? This is a party person. We not tell who the hell are you or who instructed you to say that. Let it be come out in the open. And but he has to be punished. He had no business telling a foreign government that a party person, however small, however stupid, can be called as a fringe element.
Dr. Swamy, who is accountable, Dr. Swamy, at the end of the day? Because it's just getting thrown all over the place. Nobody is accountable, claims to be accountable.
No, it's not a question of accountable. Who is being made accountable? We know who's accountable. The Prime Minister, the buck stops with the Prime Minister. I don't know whether you remember what Harry Truman said.
Yes, the buck stops with me. Correct.
Buck stops with me, and if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. This is what he said.
I just want to add one general statement, Dr. Swamy. Looking at Qatar, looking at what is happening in China for the last 2 years, there's only one word that comes to my mind, sir. It's a 9-letter word. It starts with the letter B as in boy and ends with the letter L as in London. Rest assured, people can make up what I'm trying to say. This is what is the problem.
All right. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So, we run out of time, or
no? We have about 2-3 minutes, but anyway.
Any questions left?
Dr. Swamy, there's a question from a viewer from Arunachal Pradesh. The viewer says that since last 14 days, 2 soldiers of the Indian Army are missing from the border.
That's right.
And they say in the past, the MP from that local area had been protesting about kidnapping by the Chinese army of Indian citizens. And some of them have returned. This same MP, when he confided in you, the Andhbucks and the Gandhbucks and the blind bucks tried to say nothing is wrong on the Chinese border. It is just Dr. Swamy who is trying to imagine, and they, like Nupur Sharma's statement was withdrawn. They made this MP apologize indirectly or making him contradict your statement. So
no, they did, because the MP himself called me up and said, please don't contradict what I'm saying. But I am sorry, I am not as strong as you are. I have to buckle in and say that, no, I never said this to Swamy. We met not in my house or in some restaurant. We met in the Central Hall of Parliament. At least 200 people would have seen the two of us sitting and talking. Yes, it has been done. Now, of course, that MP has got such a lot of booing from his own people that he has gone back to the old stand of saying that the Chinese are here and the Chinese are here. So the Chinese they are just walking up and down. They just don't know when to take how much, you see, that's all. Never seen, how can any China ever have respect for you?
Tapir right? Check this tea. Tapir Gao, right?
Yes. His name is that,
Tapir.
So,
and Dr. okay. Sorry.
So I'm saying that, you cover, even the fact that you are both Quad and BRICS at the same time, how can the Chinese have any respect for you? They are in possession of your territory illegally, and you are going and bowing and scraping before him in Western clothes. And then how they think that the Russians are great friends. Russians, friends, they are chamchas of the Chinese. They are junior partners. It is now openly admitted. Even Xi Jinping has hinted at it in his recent statement. So I would say, and it's the BJP has got a huge army of Karyakartas who work for free so that you can get elected. Every other party, people are all the time worried about, where my booth agents will be, how much money will be there, somebody else who may steal it. BJP doesn't have that problem. The RSS Swayamsevaks go in and take over the booth management, and there's nobody who can buy them. And how would they feel? I mean, that's for the RSS to decide from, but I would say that if I was in their position, I would feel badly that I spend so much of my personal time, sweated it out so that somebody can get elected. and then hoping that the Hindutva will come. And then you find that this Hindutva is a wet Hindutva, not a dry Hindutva.
Dr.
Okay,
Swamy,
yeah, go ahead,
no,
Dr. Jijit.
yeah, one last question, Dr. Swamy. Sorry. One of the viewers from West Bengal says that the spokesperson or the ambassador of Qatar describing a BJP spokesperson as a fringe element. Would this also apply in reality to the andhbugs, gunbugs, and blind bugs? If that fellow has identified her as a fringe element, does he mean that all these people are fringe elements? Those who keep attacking anybody who, on policies, attack the Modi government?
Yeah, why don't the andhbugs and gunbugs go attack Qatar? Say, how can you say for one of us is a fringe element? Attack the ambassador. But they are all shivering who's next to be picked up for the slaughterhouse.
And they're deleting all their tweets also. These cowards are deleting their tweets.
Oh, I see. There you are. That's why we ignored them. That's why we ignored them in our Twitter.
Dr. Swamy, how strong is the defense that it is not the failure of foreign policy? It is actually linked with economic policy, because a large number of Indians work in the Gulf countries and a huge remittances are sent by them, and this may get affected if we have the anti-Gulf policy, or if we take a tough step.
How Arvindji? How will that get? It doesn't make any absolutely. Why would that get affected? It is work. They're going to send money. Are they going to send money to America?
Before
they may get unemployed. Yeah. They may be sent back.
No, let me give you an example. In 1964 to 1968, all the prosperous Indians of Uganda and Nigeria, Kenya were kicked out. They had British passports.
Yes.
The British did not come to their support. And then they became OCI. Now they've all become OCI, but they still have British passports. The British passports doesn't even allow them to come in as citizens. They have to go through the normal thing. So where is the prestige? If the government doesn't have prestige of its own, how can the people get prestige wherever they are? Tomorrow, the oil will run out. Maybe you will get that hydrogen fuel cells, and the oil will no more be necessary. Then what do you think that these people will do? The first set of people they will eject and send out will be them. I've been to Qatar. They are very nice people, but the Indians there told me that we can't even do Satyanarayan Puja inside our house. Is that Islam? Then shall we practice that with the Islamic forces here? You can't have laddus in both hands. They must be told.
Dr. Swamy, when India says, when a Hindu says anything that is in the Quran or in the book, Islamic books, they're saying it is a fringe element. What about Mahua Moitra, the MP, saying abusing and reporters? I mean, non-reporters, media people abusing Hindu gods. Why can't this very same government saying that not only is Nupur fringe, why can't they say even those guys are fringes? They're also abusing our gods. Why can't they even act? She's an MP. She's abusing the Hindu gods. Why can't they take a privilege motion against her? Don't have even forget taking action against Qataris or any other country. Why can't you take action against your own inside this country? Don't you have even that much guts? It's a shame. Then you might as well get out of this place. What do you do? It's a disgrace.
No, you need to. There was a time when you are not even born. Now I think even your father may not have been born. When before the British, the way we used to crawl, that changed. It's a question of leadership.
Dr. Swamy, 1975, Dr. Swamy, I was very much there. I know how Indira Gandhi was made to buckle. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we have incidences in every part, every time in our timeline and our history Why can't he just call and admonish? Why can't the speaker call in and saying to this Mahua Maitra, says, what you're saying is nonsense. It's unparliamentary. We're going to suspend you. Yeah,
Well,
Sree, you were saying something before we go.
by the
I
way,
know guys are saying that I'm angry. You know what? I am angry because let me put it this way: if you are so incompetent and so impotent to even bring up a basic thing and not protest against the Qataris and not even admonish your own people, how can I not be angry? Sorry, I mean I am angry, but anyway, Sree, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm something similar to what you said. The routine comment by somebody who's not able to counter what I'm saying in my videos is, but you are a US citizen. Why do you bother about what is happening in India? Heck, I was born there. Half of my life was spent there. I'm an overseas citizen of India.
How
Except
does
for
it matter,
I can do
Sree?
everything else.
In my heart, I'm a Hindu, I'm an Indian.
Yes.
Just legally, I'm an
you should
American.
say
How
that
does it
because
matter?
no, you should say because I was brought up in the atmosphere of the United States, therefore I can stand up for India. You have been brought up in such a way that you're crawling before Qatar.
And a small country like this comment saying that the Qatar outmanners you.
I'll say you can take Sree Iyer out of India, but you cannot take India out of Sree Iyer.
There you go. There you go. Thank you, Arvindji.
Okay.
Okay. Arvindji, conclude.
Thank you, Dr. Swamy. It is really a controversial issue because people are really angry, and the Nupur Sharma issue has really shown the incompetence of BJP and incompetence of Indian government, foreign office, that is the External Affairs Ministry. And therefore, it has brought Indians' position down. And therefore, I can see the anger in Ramesh Swamy and anger in Sree Iyer, even if they are not in India. That doesn't matter because India has lost some prestige on this issue because of failure of the External Affairs Ministry. Thank you, Dr. Swamy, for highlighting this issue. Thank you, Sree Iyer, for taking time out and participating in the Words of Wisdom, Gyan Ganga. I thank my co-host Jagdish Shetty ji and Ramesh Swamy ji, and both of them today had asked very pointed questions, and these questions were very valuable from our viewers' point of view. Thank you, viewers, for supporting us constantly. We have entered into 160th episode, and more than 2 years. 2 months actually for this program, and the viewership is still swelling. Thank you very, very much. Thanks the technical team led by Ashish Shetty, Gadgi Rakesh, Ishwar Iyer, Swaminathan, Tejas, Vishal Mehta, and Ajesh Nair. 161st episode. We will be meeting you again on 29th of May, next Sunday at 8 p.m. Till then, Namaskar, Jai Hind.
19th June.
No, we'll be meeting on 19th June, Sunday at 8 p.m.
In fact, by the way, 12th June today is a historical day because Indira Gandhi was unseated by Jagmohan Lal Sinha of Allahabad High Court today on 12th June 1975.
True.
Thank you.
So thank you. We'll be meeting on 19th.